going as well. I think I've got the stream going on YouTube, so that's good. But yeah, like I said, hopefully we'll have some good conversations this evening. If you are interested in discussing the topic, I just ask that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for the theistic position, right? Some kind of reason why we would think that God exists. As far as I can tell, no such reason exists. There isn't such a thing, but hey, I mean, I've been wrong about things before, so. Chloe, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you'd like to, have the conversation, feel free to request up. The guest box is open. Yeah, it is my position that God is fiction. Things that exist in stories, and obviously God exists in stories. There are lots of different stories about gods, right? The things that exist in stories but do not exist in reality are fiction. We know God exists in stories. We have no reason whatsoever to think that he exists in reality. So the reasonable conclusion is that God is fiction, right? That's what we call things that exist in stories and not reality. God exists in stories and not reality. But hey, you know what? I'm open to changing my position. I have a theistic friend that I give a hard time because from my perspective, he doesn't, I don't think that he puts his position on the line even when he engages in these conversations. And that's kind of been a criticism I've said to him, directly. Not that I'm trying to call anybody out, but it's a person that I speak to sometimes about these topics. And, that's been my criticism. And I want to make sure that I'm not making that same mistake that I'm criticizing him for, right? If I'm telling him that I think that it's a problem that he doesn't put his beliefs on the line, then I have to put my beliefs on the line, right? Like, I don't think it makes any sense for me not to do that. So I am 100% ready and willing to change my position. I just need some actual justification for doing so. Give me one quick second. I got a little bit of a maintenance thing I want to do real quick here. Okay. Sorry, just doing a little bit of maintenance, and it looks like we can maybe bring up our first guest, hopefully, and potentially have some actual good faith linear conversations about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. Let me get this pulled up. Sorry. Yeah, TikTok Studio, as always, is being dumb, so just bear with me for a second here while it decides whether or not it's going to work ever. Okay, here we go. All right, so it looks like we do have someone requesting. If you're in the guest box or thinking about joining, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for theism. So we'll bring up Hindu and then caller, it looks like. Hi, Hindu, are you at least 18? Oh, that was really weird. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Hi, are you at least 18?
Yeah, what's the argument God's fiction?
What God do you believe in?
Yeah, just like pure like normal theist, like no Christian bullshit, like yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking what God you believe in. Like, if you can give me any kind of understanding, like, do you believe in like some kind of classical theist God? Do you believe in just a
Oh,
generic like mind that's the personal foundation of reality, or like the ultimate personal
basically just
foundation?
like yeah, basically just like a mind that it has sufficient power to create a universe, and that probably did create the universe, but yeah.
Okay, so you're not sure if you believe in a mind that created the universe?
No, I do believe in that. I'm just saying that that's what I take God to be, just a mind that created the universe,
Okay, I'm sorry.
right?
When I asked you what God you believe in, and I kind of gave a couple of potential definitions, and you said something about a mind that maybe it created the universe. So it sounds like what you're saying is that you don't actually believe in a mind that created the universe, and then you said that you do. So I'm just a bit confused about your position.
Well, no, I said that a mind that is sufficiently powerful to create the universe and might have created the universe, right? Just because I don't think he created the universe, right? Or I think maybe he created the universe, right? Doesn't mean that I don't believe in that God, right? That God can exist absent of creating the universe.
Oh no, God is the when I say God is fiction, what I'm
Well,
talking about is the
yeah, we're
personal ultimate foundation of reality that created and sustains the universe. If that's not what you believe in, that's fine. It just sounds like what we're going to have then is just a semantic dispute,
oh,
and I'm not really
so
interested in a
so
semantic
God's
dispute.
not fiction per my semantics.
Did you hear what I said?
Wait, so is he fiction per my semantics?
So are you trying to have a good faith conversation, or are you just trying to win some semantic point?
What do you? That's how I believe in God. Like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you just want to be like xenophobic, and we get it, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right. Right. So me clarifying your position, and then when it sounds like we're
no,
not
you're
using terms in the
invalidating it.
same way, clarifying my position, that's xenophobic.
You're invalidating my religion.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right, yeah. By telling you that I use the word differently, that's invalidating your religion.
No, you were just like brushing it off. You're
Okay,
like,
well,
what?
that's fine. If you don't want to actually have the conversation, no problem. I can move on. Doesn't sound like you're actually interested in engaging in the topic of the conversation, so you don't have to. That's no problem. Certainly not here to force anybody into anything. Semantics. That'll be my notes for that one. All right. So we'll see if we can have a good conversation. Actually, about the topic. That would be nice. I would. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I am, brother.
Fantastic. And what God do you believe in?
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
cool. And
Lord and Savior.
what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I didn't really have much to offer, actually. To be honest, brother. Let's just be honest.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I just finished having a bit of a fit. But I was saying I don't really have much sort of evidence or any strong things to give to be able to prove that for you. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, all I'm really
I'm
interested in discussing is whether or not there's rational justification to believe in a God. So if that's not the kind of conversation that you're looking to have, that's no problem. But that is the conversation I'm looking to have. Okay.
okay then.
All right. Well, I hope you have a good one. Thanks for just being honest. At least I appreciate that there wasn't like some bullshit, right? It was just okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next person. Looks like we do have several people requesting. So I'll just say this again. Please make sure that if you are requesting or thinking about requesting, that you are 18 plus, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. So it looks like we'll move on to Don, and then Dion. So it's going to be, yeah, that'll be interesting. Don, and Dion. Hi, Don. Are you at least
Yo,
18?
no, 16.
Oh, okay. Well, I was very specific that I'm only looking to people who talk to people who are 18 plus. So we'll move on from Don to Don because Don didn't listen, but maybe Don listened. Hoping that this Don actually connects. We shall see. So the first Don. Hey, Skog. Hey, Monkey Boy. Good to see you here. Thank you. W stream earlier, Monkey Boy. That was fucking wild. I somehow I didn't know how I expected that to go earlier, but it was not quite what I expected it to be. But just check out Monkey Boy's YouTube. Check out Monkey Boy's YouTube. All right, so we will. Neither Don panned out, but we'll try Dion. Hi, Dion. Are you at least 18? Is this me? Is there some problem on my end? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep. Are you at least 18?
All right. Microphone. Yes.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in Allah Jehovah.
Okay, you're Christian or Jewish?
No, neither.
Oh, okay, are you like a Yahwist?
Islamic,
Oh, you're Muslim.
like a sheik.
I'm
Yes.
getting whiplash here. Oh, you said Allah Jehovah? I am so confused. You're like some kind of like Christian
Same.
Jew who's not Christian or Jew, but you're Muslim, but you're also Sheik? Or Sikh?
No, that's what you assume.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to assume
You
anything. I'm asking the
assume.
question
Really,
and you're giving a
just
confusing answer, so I'm just asking what God you believe in. If you just tell me that, then
Allah.
we can move on. Okay, so you're Muslim. Cool. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence
Yes,
that provides
Allah's
rational
what-
justification to believe in God?
Really, it's about yourself, you know. I don't have to prove anything to nobody. And if you don't believe in God, that's you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You don't
Move
have to
on
prove
about your
anything to
life.
anybody. No problem there. There was a huge delay there. And since Dion agreed that he isn't able to provide justification for his position, I think the best thing to do is move on. If you are in the guest box, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you actually do have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification for your theistic position. All right, so we'll go to Paratheus, maybe? I don't know. Hi, Para. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I'm doing well.
Okay, I'm going to count to 3, and then I want you to say 4. 1, 2, 3.
4.
Okay, that was like a 6-second delay. So if you get like a better connection or something, feel free to come back, but it's going to be tough to have a conversation that way. So we will see. We'll see if the next guest actually wants to talk. Hi, Hiz. Are you at least 18?
Yes, sir. I'm 28.
Cool. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
I would say my best argument may be somebody's second best argument, but I can give my personal favorites. Are you there?
So my question was, what's the best argument or evidence that provides rational justification to believe in God? I don't know what you were talking about, but I'm still just waiting for you to answer that question.
Well, I would say Judaism is a great foundation to look at, considering Christianity is the fulfillment.
Okay. So in order to believe in Judaism or its prophecies or the, idea that Christianity is some fulfillment of Jewish prophecies, I would have to first believe in a God. So that's why I'm asking, what is the justification to believe in a God?
Have you studied into archaeology, my friend, and history?
I'm not an archaeologist or a historian, but asking me questions is not providing any argument or evidence. So I'm asking you very direct questions. I'm asking you to do me the courtesy
Dude,
of
just
direct
chill.
answers. So I'm just going to ask one more time, and if you're not able to answer it, that's fine. I'll just assume you don't actually want to have the conversation, and that's
I'm
no problem.
asking if
And I'll do
you're
you the favor of
studied
moving
at
on.
all, and I'd
So do
love
you
to
have
help
any
you.
argument or evidence that you would like to provide?
Yes, I'd love to help you. Just
Fantastic.
chill.
What's the argument or evidence? Again,
So-
remember that not answering with an argument or evidence is a concession, and I'm moving on.
Man, you gotta relax, or I'm gonna leave.
Okay, fantastic. I'll take the concession. Thank you. No problems. No skin off my back. Again, please remember, if you're in the guest box or thinking about joining the guest box, please make sure that you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that you're ready to present that provides justification for your God belief. So we'll move on to the Real Groovin' Doug. Hi, Doug. Are you at least 18?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can. And what God do you believe in?
I believe that we have a creator. It's hard for me to say that I'm a part of a particular religion, although I do identify with things in the Bible. I feel that it's all misinterpreted, and I feel that religion is used to control people for the most part. I find it funny that all these
none of this
people
has
are-
anything to do with the question that I asked you. So you started out
Okay,
answering
go
the
ahead. Ask the
question.
question.
Yeah, you started out answering the question, then you went off into a bunch of random, unrelated stuff. So I'm just
Fair
asking,
enough.
just just to tell me the God that you believe in. If it's not a God that has a name or from a book, that's no problem. I just want a little bit of information so I understand what kind of God you believe in, and then we can move into the whatever topic you wanted to discuss about justification for that God belief.
Well, first off, the whole argument of intelligent design.
I'm still asking about what God you believe in. You said that you believe in a God. Is it like, you said you connect with some things in the Bible, so is it safe to say that you believe in like some kind of like timeless, immaterial, personal foundation to reality?
Yes, there is a being that is a master being that created everything. I believe that to be true.
Okay, fantastic. And so it sounded like you wanted to discuss fine tuning. Is that correct?
Yeah, I want to answer direct, your direct questions, because all these people are coming on your chat and it's kind of aggravating because they're not answering the question. They're just jumping all over the place, which I understand. It's a deep topic, but go ahead and ask the question and I'll give you an answer.
Yeah,
directly.
No problem. Just asking what you think is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe that a God does in fact exist.
With observable, objective reality, I would start with intelligent design. How everything is so mathematically designed, even to the cellular and molecular level. It's hard for me to say that all that would be random. It's very hard for me to accept that we were formed in some big bang out of a pure accident and everything is as it is now. It's not rational to me at all.
Do you understand what an argument from incredulity is?
No.
Do you know what the term incredulity means? I'm not saying asking this to be condescending. I'm just...
No, you're asking questions, brother. Go ahead.
Do you know what incredulity is?
No, I don't.
No problem. Incredulity is just like when you just can't believe something, right? Like when somebody is really gullible, we call them credulous, right? And so incredulity is the opposite. It's like incredulity is being like, no matter what, I can't believe this thing. I'm incredulous about it. And it sounds like what you're saying is you're, based on your level of understanding about, maybe some of the scientific explanations for big questions like where did life come from, where did the universe come from, things like that. You're saying, I'm completely incredulous about the responses I've heard from science to these questions. I can't possibly imagine that those are actually the answers. Therefore, I'm just going to assume that this other thing is the answer. The problem with doing that is that doesn't actually give us any reason to think that the conclusion that you've drawn is correct. And so what I'm asking for are reasons to think that your conclusion is correct. And so far what you've said cannot possibly do that. So I'm going to ask if you want to dig deeper into why what you've said so far doesn't work, we can. Otherwise, I'll ask that we move to something that actually can support your position.
Yeah, let's move on to the next question. This is your chat. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to tell you that we can't talk about that, because if you want to push back and say no, I'm not doing that, we could have that conversation. But yeah, I mean, if you...
I also, coming from the other side of things, I also observe that there's a lot of entities in this world that go through a lot of psychological operations, if you want to call them that, psyops, to lead people to believe in false things or to even discredit that a God exists.
Yeah, this is completely like tangential, has nothing to do with the direct topic at hand here. What I'm looking for is, so like if I was going to support like a position that I hold, I would say I hold this position because, and then I would do something like pointing to some specific evidence, or I would maybe provide some kind of like philosophical argument with premises that lead to a conclusion that supports my position. I would do one of those kinds of things. So I'm asking you to do one of those things, like pointing to some piece of evidence that we can examine, or providing some kind of philosophical argument, either formal or informal, that leads us to the conclusion that a God exists.
Okay, well, in the Bible, it says the kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. But Star Trek, Kirk said, why would God need a spaceship, right? And so I can quote things too, like, the Joker in Batman in The Dark Knight said, and here we go, right? Like, I mean, do you want me to, like, are we just doing quotes, or, like, are we actually having the conversation? We're actually having the discussion about God.
What I want to lead into is that there's a side of of us. You can call it that we're spiritual beings living a meat suit existence.
That's just
And
presupposing that your position is correct. What I'm asking you is to support your position. I don't believe in souls. I don't believe in spirits. I don't believe in gods. I don't believe in angels. I don't believe in demons. I don't have any reason to believe in anything supernatural. So if to get to God, I first have to believe in something supernatural, you would have to convince me of the supernatural thing.
Well, have you ever gotten into meditation?
So asking me
Exiting
questions doesn't
your
support your
flesh and bone
position.
thoughts.
So I've been asking you very, very directly, and you've given a lot of
All
lip
right,
service
I'm sorry.
to
Go
answering
ahead, go ahead.
directly. I'm asking you to actually answer the question or concede that you can't support your position that God exists. Is there an argument or a piece of evidence that you can provide that would give us reason to believe that a God exists? Preferably something that doesn't presuppose that you're correct.
Man, it's hard.
I agree, and that's why I don't believe in a God, because no one can do this. You're not the only one who can't do this, Doug. But I appreciate you coming up and being honest, at least. That is a lot more than I can say for most people who try to have these conversations, so I sincerely appreciate that. I think I'm going to move on to the next person, but I hope that you have a good rest of your night, okay?
You too, brother. Take care.
I mean, can't get mad at somebody for being honest, at least. Didn't get us very far. Hi, Monkey Boy.
Yo, what's up?
That debate earlier was intense. Like I didn't know what to expect, and it never was what I thought I was expecting.
I did not expect it to go that way either. I'm not gonna lie.
I wrote down I was like pausing at the beginning to like write down his syllogism, and then his syllogism meant nothing the entire time because he refused to actually discuss it. And I was surprised that he didn't pull out his trump card though. What's the argument that I should answer your questions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would have offered him any benefit. Like once he's in the rhetorical maze, it's all done.
Yeah. Well, anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, there's a video on Monkey Boy's channel that you can go watch. There was a debate earlier. I highly recommend checking it out. And while you're there, I'm sure there are lots of other great videos to watch as well. I'll bring up the next person. Hi, Jay. Are you at least 18?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me fine?
I can, yeah. What God do you believe in?
I'll say I'm a follower of Christ, man.
Okay, fair enough.
And I do want to compliment your name. Ogar is fire, dude.
Thanks.
Yeah, bro. That's fire. No, talk to me, man. What's up, man? And I'm trying to keep up with you, bro. You talk fast as heck, and you got some big words, man. I'm going to try my best to keep up, bro, but I'm ready.
Well, hey, if I talk too fast or I say something that you don't understand, the way that I look at this is that if you don't understand something I've said, then that's a failure of communication on my part, unless it's, just like you're completely refusing to track something. But in general, I would say that, yeah. Anyway, so it sounds like you said, follower of Christ. What I always want to start with is, what do you think is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe that a God exists?
I'll just say, as far as reality in itself, life itself, for there to be good or evil, there has to be good.
This is a bunch of different things. We can only focus on one at a time. So
I'll say life.
Okay. And what about life would lead us to believe in a God?
I mean, for life to form, it has to be a beginning. I'll say it has to be a creator or a creator has to create life.
Why couldn't life exist without a creator?
Why couldn't life exist? And I kind of want to pin back on what the last guy said, how it's just so intricately designed. I think that's the right word. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's just very strategically designed together for it to just not happen.
Well, okay, so
randomly.
So are you saying that some feature of life, maybe like complexity or order or something like that, you're saying that like anything that has those features must have been designed?
For sure, like Earth.
Sure. Well, my concern here, and I don't typically when people are being jerks, I'll kind of run this in a jerky way to get back at them. But I like to match people's energy, and you've been awesome. So all I'll say is that my concern here is that this is actually going to lead to a real problem for your view, because as soon as you say that, anything that has like a certain level of complexity or a certain level of order, it must have a creator. Well, if we examine the God that you believe in, I promise you that the God that you believe in must have at least that level of complexity and order in its mind. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to do something as coherent as creating a complex, well-working, well-performing universe. So if our principle that we're looking at here is complexity, or this, degree of order and complexity together equals that thing was created, and then we see those qualities in God, then we have to conclude that God was created. If we conclude that God was created, then God is no longer the ultimate being. But if God does exist, then God is an ultimate being. So then it sounds like what we would say is, if the principle that you've put forward that gets you to God is true, it would also then get you to God, that God can't exist. So it leads you to a contradiction about God's existence.
Can I kind of, so just from my own understanding, can I kind of simplify what you just said to make sure we're on the same page? So you said, in order for what I just said, that since God is a complex being in itself, he would need to have a creator to even be able to create something, correct?
No, only because you gave the principle that if something has, such and such level of complexity, it must have been created. And then we examine God and realize that God has that level of complexity. By your logic, God must have been created. So what I'm telling you is, I don't think this is a good argument for God, because it's also an argument for no God.
Okay. I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. But I mean, what I would
Sure.
say, like I said,
Would it help if I wrote it out? Because like what I like to do a lot of times is just like write out a syllogism here, and maybe this won't work for you, but maybe it'll help. So the thing that you're saying is, if something has at least the level of order and complexity that life has, then that thing must have been intelligently designed by a creator, right? My problem is then when we say, so if we both accept this, and this is the argument that you've given, if we both accept this, then what I'm going to say is God has, and then, I can just copy and paste that. So God has at least that level of order and complexity. So then the only rational thing that we could conclude from that is that God, and then I'll just copy and paste this as well because I don't want to be inconsistent. So then we conclude God must have been intelligently designed by a creator. Then what we will say is that if God exists, God was not created. So then, so we'll call this conclusion 1, and then this would be conclusion 2. God does not exist. So the God that you're pointing to with this principle that you've given is a God that can't possibly exist.
Okay. And I would say, obviously, I mean, we know the terms Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end. I would say God doesn't need a creator because God is God. God is,
well, the problem is,
he knows all, he is all.
Yeah, you're just digging yourself deeper into the contradiction. You're just admitting that, yes, this does contradict your views. Because if your view is that God is the Alpha and the Omega, but the principle that you've given leads us to the conclusion that God isn't the Alpha because God was created, then that means that you're agreeing the God you're defining here, the God that you believe in, is one that is refuted by your own argument. So your argument that you've given demonstrates that the God you believe in can't possibly exist.
Well, I mean, it's just, I mean, we're obviously limited with our human minds. We can't understand the concept of eternity. Obviously, you don't believe in anything outside of this earth, right? So, like, you just believe that you have one life.
Well, here's the thing, Jay. I don't think what I believe is relevant here. Because all we're saying is there reason for us to believe in your position? Because I'm ready, legitimately, I know that this sounds like I'm just saying this, I'm legitimately ready to change my position right now and start believing in a God if you or anyone else can actually provide some kind of argument or evidence that would justify me changing my position. I'm ready to do it. You could be the person. I'm ready to do it. The problem is when you present to me any argument or evidence, I'm going to examine it honestly. And it looks like, the best that I can tell, the argument that you've presented would lead us to believe that God doesn't exist.
Okay. Maybe I shouldn't use that one. I don't have a strong one, bro, and I'll humbly admit that. I don't have a strong one argument for that one. I like doing these debates, bro, so I know what I have to learn on. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I'll say for me, my personal experiences with God. Can I use personal experience with you, or can that work, or can that not work with you?
Well, I will be very honest with you. I don't like talking about personal experience because what we end up talking about isn't the personal experience. We end up just having a semantic, well, maybe not a semantic debate, but
You're right.
we end up
Nah, you're
basically
right.
just discussing whether or not we can trust your interpretation of your experience. And the problem
right.
is, I have no way to actually examine your experience or your method of interpreting it. All I can do is say, okay, you present your experience that says Jesus is God, and then someone else presents their experience that says that Jesus is not God. Well, it can't be true that Jesus is God and that Jesus is not God at the same time. So if or if only one of those two things can be true, and personal experience, or I'm listening to people tell me that personal experience has led them to both conclusions, then clearly personal experience isn't the way that I'm going to be able to determine which is correct.
How is Earth created in your words, in your own words?
Well, I don't think that created is a word that we would apply to the earth or to the universe, right? And maybe that's just me being like, pedantic and refusing to answer the question. But what I would say is that I don't think anything was created. And then as far as how the earth came into existence, I think that the simplest answer would just be gravity.
Gravity. Okay.
Yeah, because do you know what an accretion disk is?
An accretion disk. Help me understand that.
No problem. When there's like a whole lot of like space dust in a relatively small, cosmically small area, gravity will force that stuff to start pulling in. And if you've ever, flushed a toilet or, watched the water go down after taking a bath, you know that when stuff starts coming together, it spins, right? So when we have all of this like dust and particles in space and it all starts getting pulled together because of gravity, it'll also start spinning. And what happens is it spins into this really big disk that's called an accretion disk. And at the center of the disk is where the most matter is going to be. That's going to be the densest amount of stuff, and that's where a star will form. And then all the other stuff that is in the disk around the star will start bashing into each other and forming clumps. And as the clumps get bigger, they start exerting more gravity on the other stuff in the disk. And eventually you start getting planets forming out of those disks. So what I'm saying is that early universe, there would have been lots of stuff around. That stuff would have, come together to form the initial generation of stars. Those create heavier elements and explode. That stuff gets into second generation stars that creates heavier elements and explodes. Eventually you get the type of elements that are needed for something like an Earth to be created. Whatever number of stars exploded to create the stuff that turned into that became the accretion disk that eventually became our solar system. And then, out of that gravitational and cosmological process, our solar system was formed, part of which being the Earth. And then from the materials present on the Earth and materials, introduced to the Earth through asteroids and things like that, life ended up forming.
Okay. My argument is if there is no God, then there would be no true sense of emotion or control over or if there was no God, then there would be no way that we can truly experience I feel like emotions.
Well,
because
as far as we can,
love per se.
Well, my
There
problem
would
is
be no way we can actually love.
my problem is that it seems like, as far as I can tell, love is just chemical and electrical processes in our brain. And if that's all love is, then we have no reason to think that a God would have to be involved for that to exist. So in order for me to think that a God has to be involved in any way, I would need to have reason to believe that love is something other than just chemical and electrical reactions in our brain. Do you think there's any reason to believe that?
That it's other than a chemical in... Well, yeah, I mean, I get that, the scientific explanation of it, but the fact that we even have that opportunity to even have that ability to love someone is a perfect example that there has to be some type of higher power above.
I'm not seeing the connection. Can you help me out?
I mean, it's just, bro, you probably got a girl, bro. You love the heck out of your girl, bro. It's just something that's just inside, bro, it's just divine. You know what I mean? It's like a divine feeling. Like, it's not a strong argument. I will say the least, bro. I will say the least. I wish I would have came better prepared for you, bro. That's my apologies, but um, I'm just not as I'm not as I'll say smart as you when it comes down to like science stuff, bro, and ethical stuff like that, bro. Um, but I will say, with you, dog, I just wanna know how you came to this level of understanding that there's no actual God. Like, have you tried him before? Like, have you tried to seek him out before for yourself? Or did you like seek science first and now you just stay with science without God?
So I'll try to be brief. I was raised Christian. As a teenager, I encountered questions about my faith for the like actual difficult questions about my faith for the first time because I wanted to strengthen my faith and become closer to Jesus and God. I decided, okay, I'm going to search for answers to these questions, and if I search for answers to these questions without biasing myself to what answers I want to find, when I find that the true answers are Jesus and God related, I will have the strongest faith possible and I will have such a great relationship with God and Jesus. It'll be fantastic. The problem is, as soon as I gave myself permission to actually seek truth without assuming what the conclusion was going to be first, it became obvious immediately that there was no way to continue, there was no way to be honest and continue believing in God. It genuinely took me, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but probably like 5 minutes. As soon as I gave myself in my own head permission to think about this stuff without assuming the conclusion first, like I said, it took definitely less than 10 minutes for me to stop being a Christian.
Yeah. So when you was raised, I thank you for sharing that, bro. When you was raised Christian, did you actually live
One
the
second,
life?
Jay. 1 second, Jay.
I'm just confused. Why are you making it out as if you have to choose between science or religion? Like,
That's a good point.
that doesn't make any sense.
Because I know most science and Christianity kind of sometimes they can contradict, and so
That's not true.
No, a lot of very, very important scientific discoveries and theories and understandings come from Christians because a lot of really, really good, smart, talented, like revolutionary scientists are Christians or members of other religious traditions, right? So like, I don't think there's any reason for us to think that there is this dichotomy between science and religion. That's a good, like I said, good point, Monkey Boy.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's this
that may
one
have been a
thing
bad
that
question.
science. Yeah, so like certain empirical facts might be at odds with what you would expect if a certain type of religion were true. That's different from science. Science is a type of, you can think like a methodological apparatus. It's like a type of framework to understanding the empirical world. It's not in itself the empirical information. You can come to empirical facts through using science and scientific practices, and you can find evidences against certain religions. But that's not anything with science. That's just the facts, the states of affairs, and the actual state of the world offers us reasons to be confident those things are not true.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Science.
Science and religion. There's something called like the Draper-White thesis, which is something that most scientists deny, which is that science and religion are at odds. Historically, religion's kind of been holding science on their back. And I mean, as far as now, 51% of scientists are God believers. So science and religion are not at odds. There's just
Why do you
really
think
no
that?
correlation. In fact, you can be an atheist and you can be like a scientific eliminativist. You can deny scientific methodologies altogether. There are genuine PhDs in science who are God believers, very devout Christians. So you can completely abandon you can like deny there should be a science as an atheist, and that historically people have, and you can be an academic professional with respect to science and be a theist.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now written by a philosopher who does not believe in God, but does believe in souls. And I just got done reading a chapter where he spent an enormous amount of time explaining lots of problems with the way that science works and reasons why we should be skeptical of certain information coming from science. Now, that's not me saying that, I read this chapter and now I'm a science denier. It's just saying that being an atheist doesn't mean I now believe anything a scientist says. And being pro-science doesn't mean that you can't believe in a God, right? I think that, Catholic Thinker in the chat made a good point. If God can't lie, then his creation can't either, by extension, right? So the idea being that if God is not the author of confusion, if God is not a liar, that he's going to create a world where when we investigate it, we're going to learn true things. And science is merely a method of investigation. So if all we're doing with science is investigating the world that God created, then I don't see any reason why we would think that there's a conflict between that and believing in God.
So all the historical evidence in the Bible, I mean, in your mind, we can just throw that out the window. Like the whole Bible is just completely fake, or there's some tendencies in the Bible that you believe in.
Well, I would say that the Bible is a lot like any attempts at, or most attempts at writing history from that time period and region of the world, because we can read a lot of other quote unquote historical accounts from back then that are much better, like we have much better attestation to their authorship and things like that, and much more reason to believe that, the truth of the claims in the stories. And they still have stories about people rising from the dead and performing miracles and healing sick people and all these kinds of things. Like, I was just, what was the, I can never remember the name of this dude. I need to look it up every time because I can never fucking remember it. Aristeas. There was this guy Aristeas. There's a book by a historian named Herodotus. The name of the book is The Histories, right? This guy was writing history. That was what he was intending to do. And in it, he tells the story of Aristeas, who had the ability to separate his soul from his body while he was alive. And then one day he died while in a store. The store owner locked it up to go get the guy's family and bring them to come take his body. When they got back with the family and unlocked the shop, the body was gone. Someone else said that they had actually seen the guy walking on the road after he was seen to die in the store. So, and then the guy showed up. Not only did he show back up on the road to that person, 240 years later, he came back and said he'd spent that 240 years post-resurrection flying around, traveling the universe as a raven with the god Apollo, right? Like, this is in a history book from around that same time frame in part of the world. So if these are the kinds of stories that are in quote-unquote history books from that time, then what we know is, yeah, what people believed in and thought was worthwhile history to record back then is nothing similar to what we would think now. Like, if somebody told you a story of, I saw this guy walking on the road yesterday, and then I found out before I saw him, he had died in a store in the middle of town, and so he must have been resurrected before I saw him. Would you just take that as true and then write it down as a historical fact? Probably not. I certainly wouldn't. And so the fact that people were writing that down as though it was a historical fact about Aristeas should make us think that people writing it down about Jesus also doesn't mean that it actually happened.
So do you believe Jesus walked on this earth, or do you think that was...
I'm agnostic to whether or not Jesus actually existed. I think that there's some evidence to suggest that he did, but there's also a lot of evidence to make us think that he didn't. So I don't take a firm position on whether or not he existed, but I don't think that it matters. Like, if he did actually exist, that has nothing to do with whether or not the religious claims associated with him are true. For example, you and I both believe that Joseph Smith was a real person, the guy that created Mormonism. Yeah, but I don't think either of us believe that he actually had golden tablets that he was translating the word of God from, right?
Golden tablets? Is that what the Book of Mormon says?
Yeah, the Book of Mormon supposedly was translated from golden tablets that he put in a hat and then put his head in the hat, and God allowed him to read the words on the golden tablets, and he would read them out, and then other people wrote it down, and that's the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in the Book of Mormon for a plethora of reasons.
Right. So, but here's the reason. Here's the thing, Jay. You said we both agree Joseph Smith actually existed. So, since we can both agree that he existed, but that doesn't mean that his claims are true, then we should be able to say the same thing about Jesus. Just because Jesus may have actually existed has nothing to do with whether the claims about him are true.
Yeah. No, I got you. The whole Bible would be fake, and please stay with me and hear me, people in the comments too. The whole Bible would be fake if what Jesus claimed in his Bible didn't come to pass.
No, there's lots of historical stuff in the Old and New Testament that would still be true regardless of whether Jesus was actually God.
No, I'm saying the Christian faith, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Christian faith wouldn't be, I shouldn't have said the whole Bible. The Christian faith wouldn't be a thing if what Jesus claimed didn't come to pass, right? Like our whole
Right.
faith is based off the resurrection.
Yeah, and
Now-
we have no reason whatsoever to think that the resurrection actually happened, unless you also believe that Aristeas resurrected from the dead. I don't think you have any justification to say that Jesus did. And also, if Jesus actually was God and resurrected from the dead, we would expect his predictions and prophecies to come true. So the fact that his predictions and prophecies didn't come true also tell us that he could not have actually been God. But
Which
again, I
ones
feel
did
like,
come true?
well, like when he told his followers that some of them would still be alive during his second coming, and his second coming still hasn't happened 2,000 years later, and they're all dead, that tells us that his prophecy didn't come true. So knowing that his prophecies didn't come true, his prophecies that he made didn't come true, the prophecies that he was supposed to fulfill to be the Messiah, he didn't actually fulfill, so he couldn't have been the Messiah. We have no reason to think that he actually existed. Even if he did exist, we have no reason to think that he rose from the dead. Like literally everything that would need to be true in order for us to believe in the Christian narrative and the Christian faith, we have no reason to think that any of it is true. Is there any one of those things that you can actually provide demonstration for?
If you could help me know where you're talking about, where he claimed like I'll be alive in your second coming, I would like to go study on that because I've never heard that before ever. It's probably somewhere in the New Testament, of course. I don't believe you're lying, but I just want to know so I can know the context behind it, because context is important. You know what I mean? Especially for claims when it comes down to the Bible. But what I would say, and I'm probably gonna let somebody else come off because I can't keep up. I'm honest, I can't keep up. But my last thing, bro, is I feel like it takes more faith to
Don't say
believe
it.
that.
Don't say it. Don't say it, Jay. I have so much respect for you through the rest of this conversation. Don't ruin it.
Well, I
Please.
didn't even say anything.
He's about to ruin it, yeah.
Yeah, please don't say that nonsense that it takes faith to be an atheist. Like, it's just not true. It's simply not true. Like, does it take faith? Do you have to exercise a lot of faith to not believe in Bigfoot?
I just no.
Yeah, exactly. And because you just don't think Bigfoot is real, so it doesn't take you any faith to not believe in him. In the same way, Monkey Boy and I don't have reason to believe in God, so it doesn't take us any faith to not believe in him.
I guess.
Also
I mean,
wanna ask
Bigfoot
Jay,
and
I
God,
gotta-
those are like two.
Well, I got a question for Jay. What's harder to believe, that some man healed, like if someone told you this guy healed a blind person versus a guy said I saw a Bigfoot in the forest, which is less likely? Is it less likely that someone just touched the eyes of someone and they're blind permanently and they're healed, or Bigfoot exists?
Less likely Bigfoot existing.
You think it's less likely that a Sasquatch in the forest exists than someone touched the eyes of someone and healed them from permanent blindness?
The only reason why I say Bigfoot, just because I've seen it hand in hand, you know what I mean? I've seen it with my own face to face in person. I've seen it, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I can't
Healing someone.
Because the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't give you personal experience because you won't believe it, you know what I mean? Or I can't use that to help you come to understand. And so that's what I mean. Like, it's hard to, and that's why I'm glad I took this debate so I can
Okay,
go
wait.
more.
Okay, hold on. I just want to clarify. You're saying that you've seen someone heal someone?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was a person, but I would say it's the guy, the name that we believe,
I'm talking about.
the name we use.
I mean, like something to the extent of a blind person being cured of blindness.
Yes.
Oh, really?
And I've seen people who can't walk get up out of the wheelchair, people who's on oxygen. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
these are so faith healing stuff. Like, here's the thing that you should know about faith healing, Jay. The people who do faith healing are scam artists. I'm
Some
actually
of them,
I don't. Here's the thing, Jay. I don't talk about this very much on here because I don't really feel that like my personal life is super important. But I'm not only. I mean, I've talked before about being a musician. I am a musician. I'm actually also a magician. Right? There's a reason why, like, sometimes people might notice that I'm over here fiddling with cards because I'm a magician, right? Like, I do magic. I know how magic works. It's not real. And I know the types of techniques that are used to do things like faith healing. It's not real. Like, either there are a few options for what's happening. Either they do what's called stooging, where they bring people along, actors, to pretend to be healed, or what they're doing is, because the people in the congregation believe that it's real, the placebo effect takes over, and if you actually follow up with the healed people, the healing never has lasting effects. Like if you talk about people who like live in have to use a wheelchair to get around because they're not very stable on their feet, and then but they actually like have the ability to some degree to stand independently, they're just not like stable enough to walk reliably without hurting themselves, so they use a wheelchair. Well, yeah, those people in the heat of the moment, when emotions are high, adrenaline is running, they believe that God is in their presence healing them. Yeah, they're going to be able to like use a bit of extra energy and use the placebo effect in their belief to actually stand up and maybe even take a few steps. But if you go check with them 3 days later, they're not going to be walking around like a normal person. They're going to be right back in their chair where they always were.
How do you know that?
Because this stuff has been studied.
That's a big claim.
Because
bro.
this stuff has been studied.
I agree with you to an extent. Like, yeah, there's a whole lot of false teachers, false prophets, false healers. There's even witches in churches doing false healings for money.
Background do
We're losing you, Monkey Boy.
do give you
Monkey down, monkey down, monkey down.
Monkey Boy, you're breaking up pretty bad. But I think what he's saying is like we have background information about how these things work. Like I said, as a magician, I know more about it than most people do. I know how to make it seem like I can read people's minds. I know how to do magic tricks. I know, like, I will do this for my coworkers sometimes. I can do magic tricks with a deck of cards that happen in their hands, shit that is literally impossible, and I know how to make it happen. And trust me, it's not actually impossible. But if you saw it, you would think that it was literal magic. There's no fucking explanation of any way it could possibly happen. I know how it happened.
I'm a magic geek, bro. I love magicians, bro. No cap. It's like one of my favorite things to watch. Bro, you should start posting your magic. I would watch, honestly.
Not the purpose of the channel, my friend, but I appreciate
I
it.
got you. You're right. Yeah, I got you. Anyways, I'll get off here, bro. I respect
But
y'all.
you think it's more likely that those people were actually healed than something like something like magic adjacent or magic?
Do I think it's more likely for those people to get healed? Yes.
I think, Jay, what that says from my perspective, yeah.
Wait, how could that even be?
I may have not understood.
You have background information that people perform magic tricks, like so you should be less confident that those things are real.
Magic?
People can obviously also stage event. Yeah, magic. I'm saying that the appearance of the healing is explained either by an actual healing or is artificial and is explained in terms of a magic trick or something adjacent. Like people have done staged pranks where the entire, room is a setup for someone to walk in, and they do like some batshit crazy thing, and the person thinks there's some supernatural thing happening or whatever. It's not difficult by any means for people to artificially replicate the appearance of these things. These things are biologically impossible for someone to just touch the eyes and their eyes be healed. So
of course, impossible, 100%.
So the probability that those are just fake is obviously antecedently extremely likely. It's just very likely those things are fake. I don't know.
Oh,
how would someone healing someone from blindness?
Yeah,
how could that be less? How could that be more likely than Bigfoot?
I mean, it's hard if you don't believe in the supernatural or anything. I mean, what would you say for dreams? And what would you say for dreams?
You didn't believe in the supernatural and deny those things.
You know what I mean?
The
Astral projection. What would you say was like witches and sidekicks?
Jay, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if we don't have, like, obviously, I think those are things that are really easy to refute. But the problem is, if we refute them, you're just gonna keep going on believing what you believe anyway. So what you really need to focus on is the fact that when we're trying to press you for support for your position, your consistent response is to try to shift the burden back onto us to try to make us prove something. But that doesn't have anything to do with whether your position is correct, right? Like if I told you that the whole universe was actually created by my Lord and Savior, Eunice, the universe farting unicorn,
He fire.
she, thank you very much, don't misgender Eunice. You don't want to deal with her wrath. But if I tell you that I believe that Eunice is actually what created the universe, and I, like I can just make that up and say like, oh yeah, that's true. If you can't prove all of my beliefs about Eunice wrong, does that mean that Eunice actually exists? Or does that mean that neither of us should believe in it because it hasn't been supported sufficiently yet?
I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I don't have an answer. Like I said from the beginning, bro. I think I got like ADHD. I gotta get diagnosed or something. It's hard for me to keep up, bro, with you guys because y'all ask like very in-depth intellectual questions, bro, and I'm still new to all this, bro, and I'm gonna just humbly admit that. No cap.
Well,
like
hey.
I have no idea what you just said just now.
Fair enough. Humility is a good thing, and you're right. Monkey Boy is really smart, and I pretend to be. So I play smart on TikTok.
Listen, I'm literally learning right now
Nah, you're smart.
vocabulary, bro. I'm learning vocabulary, and you guys y'all are off the roof with vocab, bro. Honestly,
Well,
I come from the streets. I never used to talk like this. I'm trying to learn because I got radically saved and stuff like that. I mean, here's the thing. I'll say this: that the last thing for me is just because I've had a personal encounter. I know most people, it's hard to believe in a God if you've never met him or encountered him. I'll say genuinely, bro, like, and I know your heart might be closed off or your mind might be closed off, but genuinely, go in a dark room and ask him to just like don't even say a name, just say higher power, if you exist, show me. You know what I'm saying? Show me.
I promise you, Jay, I promise you that I take this stuff very seriously, have actually sought God and done everything that I thought I could possibly do to reasonably determine whether a God exists. Here's the last thing that I'll say. You seem like an honest and intelligent person. I know that, Monkey Boy has, a much higher level of knowledge than I have, and I probably just know more stuff about this than you. And the reason that we both have that level of knowledge is just because the amount of time and energy that we've put into thinking about, researching, reading, and actually like paying attention to these topics and the arguments on both sides. And so all I would say that if I don't think that there's like some intelligence gap. You're clearly not a stupid person. So I think that if you just put in a little bit of time to actually learn the arguments, I'm not saying that, you're going to go watch a video and listen to one argument and then you're going to be an atheist, but you can at least like be better prepared to engage with, because what's important to know is not just the argument for your position, but the arguments that the other side gives against your position. When you can engage with that honestly and genuinely respond to the critiques to your position, you're going to be in a great position. And you know what? Hey, maybe you'll come back someday and convert me and I'll believe in God. But I think that, I think we'll leave it here. I do think we've had a good conversation, and I appreciate it.
That's my faith. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to even follow you, bro. One of these days, I'm going to come back, and you're going to be a follower of Christ, bro. I believe it for sure, dude. Hey, do you know God Logic on TikTok? Do you know God Logic?
I can't say I'm familiar. Monkey Boy might.
He knows.
I know what that is.
You know God Logic? I want to see y'all debate him, bro. I learned a lot from that guy.
That guy's pretty dumb.
Come on, man. I mean...
Like, being completely honest, when it comes to philosophy and the types of conversation you and I have, he's just not at all equipped for that.
What dangers does being a Christian have? Like, what if, let's say, if the Bible is completely fake, what do I lose?
Here's what I'm gonna do, Jay. I appreciate the conversation. I do want to move on. I'm gonna drop you down, but I'm gonna answer your question, okay?
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate you, Jay. Here's the thing. I hold a position that's called moral evidentialism. I think that it is immoral to not have, to not work toward, to not have an epistemology that not only verifies the justification of new beliefs as you take them in, but also works to weed out false beliefs that you already hold. I think that if you don't have that kind of epistemological system in your life, that you are doing something immoral by not having that. I think we all have an obligation to ourselves and to the communities of which we are a part to do that, to actually try to make sure that we're not believing false things, we're not taking in new false beliefs, and we're getting rid of the false beliefs that we may already hold. I don't know what your kind of response would be, Monkey Boy.
I mean, this question is like so silly. If I said that there's a colony of 24 green lizard aliens 10 billion light years from now that created a star, imagine I believe that and I say, oh, okay, well, maybe there's not good reasons to, but what's the harm in believing it? Like, Like who? Like what is? What do you mean? Like why would I just adopt that because it's not harmful? Right? Obviously, in the same, basically the same thing you're saying. There's like epistemic norms. There's correct beliefs and incorrect beliefs on the basis of, maybe inference, you might say, right? The evidences or arguments that rationalize this belief. So, given that, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to believe stuff I shouldn't believe, whether or not it offers some harm or benefit.
Yeah, I just think that the biggest problem comes from, like, let's say that there is some, false belief, and we can demonstrate for sure that that false belief doesn't have any direct negative consequences to people who believe it. I still don't think that anyone should hold that belief, because what you're doing is you're saying that you're now training your brain to accept things as true without justification. And so now the next time you're presented, with a new claim that you're not sure about, you are going to be more predisposed towards accepting the claim without sufficient justification, because you've trained your brain that that's okay. Another problem is that if I hold belief X without justification, and then X entails, I find out later that X entails a bunch of, Y, Z, and so forth. Well, I now have insufficient justification for all the other beliefs entailed from X and entailed from the beliefs that X entailed. And now I have this huge spider web of under-justified beliefs in my worldview, and it's going to become extremely difficult to weed them out. Like, that was like an extremely painful process through my late teens into my early 20s, deconstructing all of the insane things that I believed, and it took literally years to find them all. I mean, I'm sure that I still haven't found them all. I'm sure I still believe stupid stuff.
Right.
Oh, well, at least Jay was honest. That was at least a positive conversation. But we'll move on to the next person. If you're in the guest box, please make sure you're 18 plus and have some kind of... What's that?
Look who's in the chat. It's the Russell himself.
Oh, just what we want. Boy, I sure hope that I'm one of the atheists that he's going after. Boy, I should be so lucky. Anyway. Yeah, Catholic Thinker, you're here too, but you're not like a complete joke. Like, you're actually like a reasonable interlocutor. Okay. If you are in the guest box...
It's just ironic because he was just annihilated a couple hours ago by Ian.
Yeah, Russell was just completely destroyed. And again, like, I don't know if anybody's in here that, if Russell is ready for round 2, Catholic Thinker's ready to beat him down as well. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, again, if anybody isn't aware of it, Russell debated Ian earlier today. There's a video on Monkey Boy's YouTube channel. It's brutal, man. I mean, you honestly, like, it goes off the rails pretty fast, and Russell is just never able to recover. He tries to make a claim that Ian said something circular, which Ian obviously never did. And then instead of engaging in the argument the whole rest of the debate, like, well, I won't spoil everything. It's an interesting watch, so I would recommend going and checking it out. And then that at the ending with the like taking questions from people, it did not go well. But yeah, we'll move on to the next person here. Like I said, if you're in the guest box, make sure you're 18 plus and have some argument or evidence. All right. Looks like we have
Hello?
Dot. Are you at least 18?
Hey, hello?
Hi. Are you at least 18?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I myself am a Christian, but the argument I'd be presenting would just be a theistic one.
Yeah, that's totally fine. What argument did you want to present?
Just for the sake of simplicity, have you ever heard of Eliot's trichotomy, the Eliot argument?
Which trichotomy?
The Eliot's trichotomy, so the Eliot argument or Eliot's trichotomy.
Yeah, but no one ever defends the trichotomy. I mean, what's the argument for that?
Pardon me? Sorry?
I'm saying that no one ever gives an argument for the trichotomy.
Well, I was just like saying with whether you were familiar with it or not.
Yes, we are aware of that dog shit argument that couldn't possibly support theism. Hopefully that's not the argument that you're going to run, and you just were bringing it up to clown on it so we can have a good laugh and then move into a serious conversation.
I mean, I'm only young, so I'm all about learning and that. So if you guys think it's like a silly and all that. I'd love to just run it for my sake and learning.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
but
want to,
like the question I'm asked, like, just how do you defend the trichotomy is the question.
Well, I'd have to I'd have to see what it is I'm like defending against. I'm only like I'm young, so I'm just learning all this stuff. So
one
I'm
of the
saying
things that you
the
need to
argument
learn.
claims there's a trichotomy.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm asking how do you defend the claim?
Yeah, one of the things that you need to
Well,
learn.
I would
Just give me 1 second, please. I want you to answer Monkey Boy's question, so I'm not trying to stop you from doing that. But one of the things you're saying, oh, I'm young, I need to learn, blah blah blah. One of the things that you are going to have to learn quickly if you want to be able to have these conversations is that when your interlocutor asks you a direct question, you have two options. You can either directly answer it, which is going to give not only your opponent or interlocutor the impression that you're honest and good faith. It's also going to help the perspective of the audience, who are presumably the people you're really trying to win over. If you are asked a direct question and instead you take the response of dodging it and trying to find reasons not to discuss the thing that was asked, that is also going to make your interlocutors, like Monkey Boy and I, think like, okay, this guy isn't a serious interlocutor, and it's going to tell the people that are watching, the audience, that you're actually afraid to actually give and defend your argument. So we're asking a very specific question for a very specific reason, and the question that's being asked is, how do you verify that that is an actual trilemma?
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were kind of clowning and just saying like, how can anyone defend that? Well, yeah, I would just say that it's an exhaustive trichotomy, so all three options are the only possible three options.
That's the claim.
Right, but that's the claim.
Yeah, so
I'm asking what's the argument for that?
well, the argument is that so if we exclude the God option, that it is a logical fact in the same way so kind of corners that everything is either with or without beginning. That is just a fact.
And
Is that supposed to be?
And so if we accept that, then there is no possible fourth option, because in this trichotomy, it goes
I'm not
God
hearing an
option.
argument.
yeah, you're just stating the claim over and over again. If I told you,
Right, 'cause
if I told you that you should believe no gods exist, and you say, what's the support that no gods exist for the position no gods exist, and I say, well, since a god doesn't exist, then that means that there can't be any gods, because if 1 less than 1 is 0, so there must be no gods. And you say, well, no, that's just you restating the claim. Why should I think that no gods exist? And I say, well, no one has ever actually, when people say that God exists, they are just lying. Most of the people who believe in God are just lying. Okay, well, that's just me making another claim about why I think no gods exist, but I haven't actually given any support. And that's what you've done so far. We've asked multiple times directly, why should we think this is actually a trichotomy? And the only response we've gotten so far is because it's a trichotomy. But obviously, if we accepted that, we wouldn't be asking the question.
Right, and I would just say to that I think it's something I'm a bit confused on is what you're asking, and that's why I'm failing to properly answer it accurately. Is I'm just a bit, I think just a bit confused on what it is exactly you're asking, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm presenting 3 possible options. No logical fourth one can exist. You guys
you're
are
claiming,
asking like
you're claiming that there isn't a logical fourth one. How do you demonstrate that there isn't a fourth one?
Well, I mean, there's no fourth one to exist, right? Because
I mean, come on.
yeah,
Like,
but I'm
there's-
going to go further in on it, right?
No,
So-
don't.
So it's
You don't get to start.
The first issue is just. Yeah, the first issue is just it's almost seeming like you're incapable of producing an argument, but I'm not even entirely clear what is the trichotomy supposed to be again?
well, it would say that there are 3 possible causes: space-time eternal, something coming from nothing, and an uncaused.
Oh, can't hear you if you're off the app.
Yeah, sorry, my phone. I got a thing there. Space-time eternal, something coming from nothing, and an uncaused creator. So it would be saying that the universe either always existed, came from nothing, or had a God option.
Okay, and how do you demonstrate
That's
that?
just a contradiction. He said there's 3 options, 4 causes, and one of the causes is it not having a cause.
No. So there's 3 potential causes.
Nothing.
There's 3 potential causes. No fourth can potentially exist because I'll go space-time eternal. Space-time
No,
eternal.
hold
is
on,
without
hold on,
creation.
Doc.
One of the
You were so close.
one of the potential causes saying it doesn't have a cause.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You would just
It's like
have
if I
to,
say You have one. If I say there's one, you have one of three potential cars. You have no car. You have a Nissan. I'm like, wait. What do you mean? One potential car you might have is no car.
Like,
Doesn't make any sense.
like the only possible beliefs you could have. So even though I'd agree it's logically incoherent to believe something can come from nothing, it's a belief people
Nope,
have.
that's not what we're saying. No, you're saying
What? No one's saying anything like that.
no, you're saying that the potential causes, and you're saying there's only three potential causes, and the first cause that you listed was not having a cause. How is that a cause?
No, like without beginning.
I mean, it's
so the
quite
universe is
obviously.
without cause.
Yeah, that's not a cause. That's saying
No, wait. Okay, there's a confusion too. The universe can have no beginning and have a cause.
that's also true.
No, I know, but
to
so
say
that's
so
kind
that's just one issue because that doesn't tell you anything about causes there.
Yeah,
When you say
so
there's one potential cause, and then you're talking about there's infinite events, that doesn't tell you anything about anything being a cause of anything. And additionally, this idea that nothing is a potential cause is contradictory because you're saying that it's a cause and not a cause.
yeah, so I misspoke, and that's on my behalf entirely. I'm sorry for that. It was poor for me to say three potential causes there. I would just be saying that it's got three explanations for the universe here, and they're the only three possible ones. No fourth one can exist. The coherence of it is something we'd get into further after. But
Nope.
so to say like,
You
if it's
No, you need to support that there isn't a fourth option.
well, I mean, yeah. So space-time Eternals is just
Okay, but he keeps making the same error by swapping explanation doesn't change anything. How about we just say there's just three views about the universe. The universe comes from nothing, and in that way you just avoid because you just like did the rate thing that I talk about, like Looney Tune characters. So I just want to understand the trichotomy is either the universe has no cause, is caused by what? Is caused by God, and what's the third?
it's always existed, came from nothing, or the God option.
Yeah, but
Wait, but always existed doesn't tell you anything about cause. It can always exist and have a cause.
Yeah, and
Proponents
that's
of atemporal.
I agree with
Proponents
that
of
completely.
atemporal causation. Well, hold on. Proponents of atemporal causation believe views like, or could potentially believe views like the universe. There's an infinite series of past events, and the universe has a cause.
Right, and I'd say
In
that's
fact,
broadly
some
defined as
theists
space-time
believe that
eternal,
too.
regardless, because in
but
that
then-
construct,
hold on,
it's still
hold on.
eternal.
You're not
Regardless of
understanding.
proposing whether
Hold on, you're not understanding. You're not slicing up. You're putting things in camps that don't make any sense. First, theists can believe this, right? They can believe in like block universes and God being atemporal outside of the world creates an infinite series of past events. They instant that all moments of time are equally real, and God instantiates all of them. In fact, this is a view that some serious Christians do believe. So saying God belief captures that the universe is eternal because there are theists, even more than that, specifically Christian, who think the universe is eternal. But saying the universe is eternal talks nothing about causes. It's actually causally neutral. You can be a causal eliminativist, meaning you eliminate the idea of causes. You could be a quietist. You could be a nihilist about causes, and you could think the universe is eternal. So this has literally, it's orthogonal to causal talk entirely.
also,
Entirely
I just
extraneous to causal talk.
sorry.
and I just want to
Could I
clarify.
just say-
Hold on,
And-
Dot. I just want to clarify that I know that you tried to clarify that you were talking about explanations and not causes, but I promise you, everything that Monkey Boy just said it applies to explanations as well. Because if we say that, like, what's the explanation for the existence of the universe, saying that space-time is eternal, that's not an explanation for the existence of the universe, right? If I tell you, like, if you ask me, how did you come to own the vehicle that you own, and I tell you, well, I've had it for 4 years. Well, I haven't told you anything about the explanation for why I own that vehicle. I just gave you something about the history of it. And similarly, saying that the universe has existed, infinitely into the past says literally nothing about why it exists or the explanation for its existence. It just is some, fact about the, history of the universe. Again, it has nothing to do with explanation. So you're not.
Here's a better analogy because, like this, so we have one option is you have no car, one option is you have a Honda, and the other is you have a fast vehicle. Okay, well, fast vehicle talks nothing about cars, and you can have fast vehicles that are not Honda, right? So it's not only inclusive, it's not even properly partitioned as a dichotomy. If it captures the Honda portion, you can have fast Hondas, and additionally, it's fast vehicle, so it doesn't even talk about cars. So if I say there's 3 possible cars you can have: no car, Honda, and a fast vehicle. That's just silly. Like you are saying, you can either have 3 causes: no cause, God, or an infinite universe. Well, there are theists who believe that there is an infinite universe and God's the cause, and infinite universe is completely orthogonal to causal talk entirely. You can have any metaphysic. You can have quietism, eliminativism, nihilism about causes, and think there's an infinite universe. You can think there's a cause for the universe and it be infinite. So there's just like 2 layers of confusion going on. The fact that that's understood to be a disjunction when they're actually mutually inclusive, and additionally, it doesn't even talk about causes. So it couldn't even be a type of cause.
I feel I'm not being, presented with a very good opportunity to speak whatsoever. I'm not. I misspoke earlier, and I think we're really honing in on when I said causes, and that's completely fair, right? I misspoke.
That's why I just addressed that so that
Yeah.
you wouldn't do this.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just trying to say that, like, I think it's just I need a bit more of an opportunity to speak for myself. So
Okay,
what
well,
I'm
if it's
saying,
not
right?
causes, but it's still consistent with theism that there's.
I haven't made any.
Infinite
I haven't
universe.
made any comments to address. I'm unaware as to why you're speaking. If I've made no potential arguments to be addressed.
No, I'm gonna let you speak, but the idea is that they're mutually exclusive.
Right, you're going
They're
to let me
they're-
speak, but you're not. And it's
I'm not-
I've
I'm
let
gonna
you
let you
guys
speak.
speak this whole
But
time.
I'm saying that each of the options are not compatible with each other, and the point is, the 2 options you listed, God and infinite universe, are compatible.
please
There
may I
can't
just
even be a
like
true trichotomy. Okay, you could respond, but
yeah. So I'm not trying to go into the causes too much, because let's propose like a cyclic model, for example, right? That would fall under
no,
ST.
I just
So,
said I'm not talking about causes.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
said we
That's
can avoid
I'm
cause
saying.
talk.
I'm
saying
saying
you can just be a theist and believe in an infinite universe. So ignoring causes, you can be a theist and believe in an infinite universe.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say here, right, is that there's 3 possible explanations, regardless of cause. That's on me, poorly for misspeaking earlier, introducing cause. I
Explanation
really
for
am
what?
trying to hone in on fucking abandoning. Sorry
Explanation
for my
for
language
what?
there. Sorry. Really
I'm
trying
saying
to hone in
explanation for what though?
for the universe, or for whatever this is, whatever we are currently experiencing.
That is just cause. Wait, that is just cause though. If you're talking about explanation for the universe's existence, that is cause. Ontological explanations are just causes. So when you say explanation for the universe, then you just kind of did the. This is like crazy, and yeah, even if you're talking about a more broad non-causal explanation, which wouldn't make sense if the datum is the existence of the universe. When you say nothing is a quantificational phrase, which means no explanation. There's no thing that explains it. So it couldn't even be in the set of potential explanations that are systematically exhaustive, because it's actually definitionally not a partitioner in that set. It's not a member of the set of explanations. It's literally a non-explanation. When you say from nothing, it means there's no thing that explains this thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, like, you can really, attack the linguistics of it all, right? But I'm just simply trying to come out here, and if I do misspeak,
Attack the
I want the
linguistics.
chance to.
You're talking about the meaning of the words are just contradicting.
No,
acting
I'm
like I'm
aware
saying
of.
some,
I'm aware of that.
Just uninteresting semantic stuff. I'm saying that you're just contradicting yourself. So of
Yeah,
course
I
the
mean-
meaning of the words turn on the points you're making and the consistency of your argument. I'm noting that what you're saying is explicitly contradictory. To say of them, you're saying there's 3 members partitioning in a systematically exhaustive disjunction, where the set is of potential explanations, where the first member is a non-explanation. So it can't be in the set of potential explanations if it's not an explanation. Because what you're saying is what's true of each of the members is that they're an explanation and one is not an explanation. You just get the contradiction. The first one is and isn't an explanation.
Also,
Right.
just to be clear,
I-
of the 3 options, 4 explanations, 2 of them don't contain an explanation. So, space-time eternal is just saying past infinite. That has nothing to do with whether or not there's an explanation or what that explanation would be. So that doesn't have an explanation associated with it. Something from nothing, as Monkey Boy has pointed out, is also discussing a situation where there is no cause or explanation. And then the third one, uncaused creator, that's the only one that actually deals with a cause or explanation or whatever word you want to use for what you're talking about. So if you're saying that these are the 3 potential things that you could believe about the cause of, or the explanation for the existence of the universe, and 2 of the 3 options have nothing to do with the explanation for the existence of the universe, it just seems horribly confused from the beginning.
Yeah, would I be
Additionally,
able to
2
just
are not even hostile.
please, I
2
really
are
have
just
not had an
inconsistent.
opportunity, please. So I would just say that any model that's proposed, right, it instantly upholds one of these 3 prerequisites. So it either came from nothing, had an infinite in the past, or had a God option behind it.
What about What about ones that have multiple?
He's like not even engaging.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead with what are you talking about? Go ahead.
Okay, so
And try and
what you're saying
substantiate it for,
what
please.
you're saying is that you were so worried about horning in to get your chance to speak that you weren't actually paying attention to the stuff that we were saying, so you don't actually know that Monkey Boy already
Yeah,
answered
you
this
just
question
repeated
I mean,
multiple
there's a
times.
lot that I'd have to be able to recap, right? I mean, you guys just simultaneously spoke for the past
Okay,
10
look,
minutes.
it's this simple. 2 are not explanation, and 2 are just consistent. If
They're prerequisite
systematically
qualities,
exhausted,
right? So that's on my behalf of misspeaking. They're
What are you
prerequisite
talking
qualities. If you have an infinite in the past universe, right, then that falls under space-time eternal. If your universe came from nothing,
You're
it
not
falls under
understanding.
something coming from nothing. If your universe has a
Those
personal agentive cause behind it,
You
it
gotta-
goes under
you
the
gotta
uncaused
listen.
God option.
you gotta,
There is
you're
no
not,
fourth
you're not
option.
listening. You're not
Right,
listening.
and
You're
I'm
just
not
repeating
listening
yourself.
in what metric. You're
Can
saying
you
that,
can you listen? Can you
I
listen?
mean,
Okay.
you
We've
both
already
just-
told you the options. The 3, out of the 3, 2 are not even explanations, and another 2 are just logically consistent. So they couldn't be exhaustive, or they couldn't be hostile towards each other, which is needed for them to be exhaustive. That the members are not, they're not compatible.
Exhaustive would just mean that there's no other potential option.
No, what we're saying though is that the list of actual options, like if we wanted to say like what are the options of how your worldview could address the history of the universe, like if you wanted to like reword it in some way to get you out of all the fact that you've been talking about explanations and causes this entire time and pretend that that's not what this is about, if we want to reword it that way, and then we actually tried to list what the options are, there would be a lot more than 3. Even if we said that any
ahead and
hold
show
on,
one.
hold on,
Go-
hold
show
on,
one,
hold on,
please.
hold on. Even if we said that these 3 are the things that have to be present in every view, there are still going to be more than 3 options. Because, for example, Monkey Boy has already pointed out that you could have a situation where you believe in eternal space-time and an uncaused creator at the same time. You could believe in both of those together. So now that's a 4th option. You could also believe, you would also be able, another viable position would be that you believe in an uncaused creator and you believe that the universe came from nothing. There are lots of theists who believe in creation ex nihilo. So like, I mean, I don't know what they really mean when they say nothing, but hey, if they say the universe came out of nothing, I'm going to believe that that's what they believe. So again, like we have at least 5 options. You could believe in space-time eternal without either of the other 2. You could believe in something from nothing. Oh, thanks for the support, Nobody on Fire.
Hold on, could I? Yeah,
You could believe in space-time eternal without anything else. You could believe in something from nothing without anything else. You could believe in an uncaused creator without anything else. Then you could also believe in a combination of space-time eternal and an uncaused creator. You could believe in a combination of something from nothing and an uncaused creator. You could also believe that there's you could believe again, you could probably put all 3 of them and say that like the universe was caused by nothing, but there is an uncaused grounding that is a ontological creator, but also the universe is an eternally existent past. So what's obvious here? Okay, yeah. Here's what happens. If you can steel man back to me what I just got done saying, then I will let you speak uninterrupted as long as you want after that. If you can't, I'm dropping you.
So you've just proposed a 3rd, 4th, and More options, but I would argue you propose zero because you said it can be space-time eternal, and uncaused creator at the same time. I disagree completely. I'd say the minute you introduce an uncaused creator option, you're
Okay,
then
so you're not
adding
actually
a-
going to steel man what I said. You're just going to go straight into trying to respond to it instead of doing what I said your dialectical obligation was.
I mean, you can kick me if you would like, right? I'm trying.
Well, I'm trying to actually have
get
the
some momentum.
Yeah, I'm trying to
in this
get some.
conversation. At the moment, we've had a state of inertia where you've
Look,
interrupted
I
me.
think before we go into
Where you've
the
interrupted me
giving
and cut me
options,
off and not.
because it's rather easy to give alternative options.
No, it's
just
not.
This trichotomy. This trichotomy is just complete like horseshit.
If you're going,
right, I think before giving options, we should just focus on the issues with the trichotomy he's offering, which is merely
Fair.
the fact that it's not even in principle a trichotomy.
yeah, you didn't
Because
propose a
two of
fourth
the
or fifth
options-
option.
Two of the again, like that. What we want to do is tie the point about two of them are not even explanations, and then two of them are just consistent. And then we can go to what are other, potential hypotheses that are also in that space. So first things
So if I
first,
were to
is,
state
do we
these are
understand?
three prerequisite
understand-
qualities of your
Dude, you gotta like engage. This is like getting annoying. It's just like you're running a script and you're not like actually engaging. Do we understand how two of those? Do we understand how two of those are not even explanations?
I said for the millionth time that I misspoke.
Yes. Hold on. That's just a yes or no question.
Right. So when yes or no, when I'm asked a yes or no question, I then force to say yes or no. Is that
hold on? Just yes or no.
Can I stop being muted, please?
Yeah, as long as you engage in good faith, absolutely.
I mean, you haven't engaged once.
So just answer the question. Just answer the
You
question.
talked over me the whole time. You
We
tried
didn't-
proposing a fourth and fifth option that were
Just-
both one
okay,
of
that's-
three.
I mean, that's just obviously not true. But let's
You
not
you
get into
tried.
meta.
Can we go?
Just okay. No. Let's not do the meta. Just look. Just very easy. Just yes or no. Did he
But
get out?
not to have that agentive cause. It is then either always
Just
existed
hold on.
or had.
Hold on. Just yes or no.
I think I answered this like 10
So
minutes
what
ago,
was
but
the
then you
answer?
went on a tangent.
Yeah, so then you could just
Hold
give
on,
the
what was
answer.
the answer.
Repeat your question.
Do you understand how two out of the three explanations were not explanations?
Yeah, and I've already told you that I misspoke, so that would instantly show that if I
Hold on,
misspoke,
sorry.
it means
Hold
that
on,
if
hold
I'm
on,
saying I
hold on.
misspoke,
Hold
it
on,
means there's
hold
not
on.
a place of my
Hold-
thought, and I am speaking
But
from a
why do
place
you
I do
keep
not
going when I
agree.
say hold on? It's like this.
If I do not
I just
affirm
want
one
to.
of
I want to.
if I disagree with yes, if I disagree with
What's
yes,
going on with this guy?
I don't know.
I
I just
just wanna-
if I
at this point, like, I don't know that there's
Yeah,
any
I
value in
don't-
continuing the conversation.
No, there probably isn't. To be honest.
you are completely muting me every time. If I disagree with yes,
Or
my
you
stance
just-
is
you're
then
just
no.
dodging the
Correct.
question.
Correct.
Yeah, because
Correct.
you're
Or yes
refusing
or
to-
no.
I just.
If I say
no, we're not gonna ask. You're not gonna ask us a question.
if
When
I
you're
disagree
asked a
with
question.
yes, if I disagree with
Oh,
yes,
do it, dot. You got to calm down and you got to lock in and try to actually have the same conversation that we're trying to
right,
have
right.
here. We're trying to
Yeah,
get
just-
you.
Yeah.
What we're
Yeah.
we're
so
trying
your
to
fourth and fifth option.
stop. We already agreed that there is a point that's open, and it's my fault. I will take ownership. I shouldn't have been bringing up alternative explanations. I will own that. I was a distraction, and I apologize. Monkey Boy is trying very hard to get us back on topic here and get back to the issue that we were originally discussing. So again, I apologize for distracting. That was my fault. But now that we've agreed that you misspoke and you understand that, and I, distracted us from the point, I apologize. I own that. Now we've all gotten that out of the way. The question was whether or not you agree that two of the three proposed things aren't explanations. Yes. Okay. You agree with that. Great. Monkey Boy, where are we going next?
Okay, so now that we understand, and that it was that simple. You could have just said, "Yes, I understand how two two of the three are not explanations. Okay. So another thing is 2 out of the 3, if they're if it's an exclusive or, that means that they can't be conjunctive. But 2 of the options are logically consistent. Do you understand that?
No.
Okay, you can be a theist and believe in an infinite. You can be an infinitist with respect to cosmology. You could believe in an eternal universe and a God.
Right, I'm not. Then this argument disputes. I'm really struggling to see the relevance to how that's attacking my claim in any metric whatsoever. Right?
I just explained it a second ago.
This is no. But what I'm saying, right, is Eliot's trichotomy.
Listen. If it's an exclusive or, then the 2 conjuncts, the conjuncts cannot be conjoined. Or sorry, the disjuncts can't be conjoined.
Right, and we could go into it later how like you can't
I'm saying it's
you can't have UC intertwined with ST. We can go into that later.
Okay, but I'm saying right now it's logically consistent that there's a God in an infinite universe, an eternal universe.
Pardon me? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I'm saying it's logically consistent there's a God in an eternal universe.
Right, and I would argue it's not, but I'd also say that that's later on in this argument, I think.
Let's talk about that right now. What's the contradiction? What's the contradiction in a proposition? There's a God in an eternal universe.
Well, yeah, I would just say that the universe can't be eternal, right? I would say that in of itself.
Hold on. No, I'm saying, what's the contradiction in the conjunction?
Well, I'm saying that the contradiction is that a universe cannot be eternal.
Hold on.
That is the contradiction.
Do you know what a contradiction is, Dot?
But you're just saying the conjunction's
Two
false
things that cannot coincide. Something being indefinite and definite, they can't coincide.
No.
Contradiction.
No.
Well, hold on. You're saying that the conjunction's impossible because one of the conjuncts are impossible. But if you entertained that conjunct as possible, are those two things logically consistent?
I'm proposing.
You couldn't.
I'm proposing
you couldn't,
when I say this trichotomy, I'm already stating 2 stances I completely think are illogical and disagree with.
Okay, but I'm saying, well, first, obviously, there's not a logical contradiction in an eternal universe.
I mean, absolutely there is. There absolutely is.
Okay, hold on. Okay, just calm down.
Can we get into that? Can we get into that real quick? Let's not skim over that because I've.
Can you stop? Just actually stop. Can I get modded if possible?
Oh yeah.
Look, we can talk about that. So what I want to know is just start by telling me the contradiction from the proposition there's an eternal universe.
I'm saying the in of itself, it is contradicting for a universe to be eternal.
I'm just asking, what is the contradiction following the proposition there's an eternal universe?
I'm not saying there's any contradiction in your statement, if that's what you're proposing.
Okay, so hold on. So you're not saying the proposition there's an eternal universe is logically impossible?
Pardon me, I cannot hear you. I've been unable to hear you this whole time. Can you go closer to your microphone?
Here?
Alright, there we go. Yeah, perfect. I can hear you now.
Yeah. So you're not saying it's logically impossible there's an infinite regress now?
No, I absolutely think there is.
Okay, if you're saying that, what that means is if the proposition there's an infinite regress was true, that a contradiction follows, I'm asking you, what is the contradiction?
In an eternal universe?
The proposition there's an eternal universe, what is the contradiction that follows the truth of that proposition?
I'm confused as to what you're asking me.
That's why I was trying to nail down if you know what a contradiction is. Do you know what a contradiction is?
Just 2 things that can't coincide logically.
Yeah, so a contradiction would be...
Rigorously.
Specifically a contradiction would be like P and not P. It would be affirming and denying a specific proposition in the same conjunct, right? You would be combining a proposition and its negation. What is the proposition that has to be both affirmed and denied logically if we accept the position that the past is infinite?
Sorry, I telling you, I cannot hear this. Can you go again and slow it down for me?
Okay. What I'm saying is that a contradiction is defined as P and not P, where P is any proposition, right? So for example,
proposition, not proposition.
right. So for example, the ball is red and the ball is not red. Now, it's possible to say the ball is red and the ball is blue. Well, if you have a ball that is partially red and partially blue, that's not actually a contradiction. So that wouldn't be something we would define as a contradiction, even though there are some red balls that can't be blue and some blue balls that can't be red. However, a direct contradiction, an explicit contradiction, is when you affirm and negate the same proposition in a single conjunction. So what is the single proposition that has to be both affirmed and negated logically if you accept the position that the past is infinite?
Yeah, I would say I'd be unable to provide an answer.
Okay, so then you're agreeing that you don't know of a contradiction entailed from that view.
Well,
Okay, well, then
I'm trying. I think what I'm saying is I'm struggling. Like I'm struggling to linguistically track, and it's making it hard for me to come up with an answer because I'm
You're
not.
saying something very simple to say that.
Yeah,
it's
simple
logically
to
impossible,
you,
or
maybe.
that it can. Okay, just calm down, please. This is getting tiresome.
Yeah, it
Just-
can be tiresome.
we just-
I think that's quite.
Oh my
That's quite
god! Can you like actually fucking stop, please?
I don't see why you're getting upset over
Can I?
this.
Can I? Bro, it's your behavior.
Yeah.
My
It's not the
behavior.
topic. It's
You've
not the contents
you've
of the
been
reason.
whining this whole
It's-
time, and we're
it's-
going on
can-
about
can-
my
can
behavior.
Can you just? Yes, it's you misbehaving.
It's funny.
Just
It's
calm
funny.
down.
Okay,
There
at this
are
point-
Just calm down.
there are two
Just calm
adults
down.
on this live,
Can
and
you just calm down?
You guys are getting so
Can you just?
upset.
Can you just stop? Okay, just stop. Jesus.
You are
Okay,
the one who
so you
smoked.
can't. Can you stop? Can you
To
stop?
mute him
Just
again.
Stop.
Right.
Engage, dude. Okay, so can you not? Are you admitting that you don't know a contradiction that follows the proposition?
You can unmute and please just directly answer the question.
Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. What was that? Sorry.
Are you admitting you couldn't tell us a contradiction that follows the proposition?
No, I simply was saying that I didn't understand your question,
That's
and
just-
you're like saying it was an inability of my explanation. No, I'm saying it's an inability of my
Okay. Can I get
hearing
mine,
you.
please?
So that's
I
when
did,
you
you-
restate.
actually-
That's when you
you did,
restate
Monkey Boy.
yourself. That's
I
not when
added.
you. That's not when you repeat.
It doesn't. Okay, maybe I'll drop and come back and see if my mod comes
Okay.
in. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't.
That's when you restate the question.
Yeah, so the question is, what is the proposition that has to be affirmed and denied in order to accept the position that the... Oh, and he ran away. And he ran away.
The mod stuff isn't working.
What the fuck? Hold on, let me go back to it. Maybe I did something wrong. No, it says that you're a mod.
Is there a specific option for mute? Because sometimes you can mod someone and it doesn't give them mute powers or something.
Oh.
That guy was infuriating.
Oh. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, there's a specific thing that I didn't check, so that's my bad.
That's so good. Well, that was painful.
Yes, it was. The thing is that it's not even that, like, complex of an idea to say, like, if your position is that there's a contradiction, then just say the contradiction. And if you can't say the contradiction, then I think it's pretty easy to say, like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't hold the position that there's a contradiction entailed. Like, ooh, I've been trying so hard to be more patient, and people like that make it hard. Oh, man. All right, where are we at? Okay. So, that was a good time, huh? So hopefully we can actually have some good conversations. I would ask that folks who come up are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that provides rational justification for their God belief. Looks like we just have one person requesting right now. I will let you know ahead of time, Monkey Boy, this Crunt is basically like he believes in a God with the acknowledgement that it's irrational. So, and I'm not sure what the Oh, thank you for the support, Meta Morgan. That's awesome. And Zeus, and everybody. Sorry, I always forget about that stuff.
Also, I have a question.
Sure.
How do you I saw that you're using a TikTok Studio. How do you make the notepad or whatever appear on screen? Is that a feature?
So I do under sources, and then I think that it's window capture, and then I just crop out the top and the bottom of it, and then it just adds to the sources, and then I just either make it visible or invisible when I want to see it.
So it's like a window to what? Like a
So it's just under the list of sources where you have like your camera and then whatever like background image or whatever else, and then you just add another source that's a window capture, and then you just tell it to capture a notepad, or if you use some other text word processing program, and then I just crop it so that it doesn't show like the top and the bottom, because there's like I just try to keep it focused on the text, so that I was trying to write down and keep notes. I know people get mad at me for typing sometime and they think I'm putting shit in AI, but I'm just taking notes because I want to actually follow the conversation. But apparently that's too much to ask from the people who come up. But yeah, Crunt wants to come up, and I'm hoping that there's an argument or evidence here. We shall see. Crunt's a nice person. Like you're a nice guy, Crunt. But
oh, thanks, man.
I don't know what there is to discuss at this point.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the same topic that last guest was. I joined like a week ago asking you if a contradiction would affirm the existence of divinity, and you said no, so I kind of dropped out. But that concept of infinite time, the past being infinite, does seem contradictory to me, because infinity is defined as without end, and if you were to hypothetically...
No, an infinite thing is boundless in some respect. So, for example, let's say, like, how many negative numbers are there?
Infinite.
Right. However, the negative number line, has an end, right? It doesn't have a beginning, so it is boundless in one direction, but in the other direction, it does have an end. So it's possible.
Say that again? It does have an end?
It is, yes. The negative number line is beginningless, but it is not endless. Right? And the positive number line is endless, but it is not beginningless. So there's a difference between an endless an endless infinite, or an infinity, a beginningless infinity, or an infinity that is both beginningless and endless. Like, for example, the total number line, the number line for all integers, that goes infinitely in both. It's boundless in both directions, but it is possible to have an infinity that is bounded on one side. So, for example, if we had an infinite past and you wanted to say that the infinite past ends at the present, which I think is a weird view, it's a presentist view, and I think presentism is pretty well dead. But if we accepted a presentist view and said that the past is could the past be infinite with that past ending right now? Well, yes, it would be just like the negative number line. It would be infinite into the infinite that way, and then it ends on this side, right? So like if you have the stop here, but then it just goes infinitely that way, that's still an infinity.
Yeah, but isn't the negative number line that goes into negative infinity kind of hypothetical? Like there's no negative infinity in reality, but unless you say time itself is infinitely negative.
No, just like, so it would be the same kind of thing. Like there is no number negative infinity, right? Like that's not actually a number. It's just the set of all negative numbers has an infinite cardinality. Now, please don't ask me to dig into what that explains. I only understand it enough to say that. I'm not a math guy. I won't pretend to be. However, what I do understand is that the set of negative infinite numbers is infinite, even though there is a bound on where it ends, or it has an ending at 0 or -1, or however you'd want to say that. And so, but the point that I was trying to make, sorry, I distracted myself. The point that I was trying to make is that no matter how far back you go in the number line, you're always going to be a finite distance from 0, right? So if we go back to -1, well, we're obviously only 1 away from 0. If we go to -10, we're 10 away. If we go to -1 billion, we're 1 billion away. And no matter what number you go to on that negative number line, you're always going to be a finite distance from 0, and there will always be an infinite number of more negative numbers prior to the one that you're at. So in the same way, we could say that any amount of time that you go into the past, there will always be like any, or maybe a better way to say it is, any point in time that you choose in the past, if you pick like a specific point in the past and say,
It will always have been like that. You can keep going infinitely.
well, what I was going to say is that there will always be a finite distance between that point and the present, right?
Yeah,
So
no, I understand that.
so between any 2 points on the timeline, there will be a finite distance, but that doesn't change the fact that there could be an infinite number of events to either side of those 2 points.
Yeah, that's a good analogy that I didn't think of. Just infinite negative numbers on a number line. If I were to say that's just like incomprehensible and kind of nonsensical seeming, you would say that's just incredulity.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just,
what I would say is that our intuitions are not calibrated to deal with infinite things. We don't. That's why people talk about Hilbert's Hotel. Are you familiar with that example?
no.
Hilbert's Hotel is like, imagine an infinite hotel where every room is full, right? Every single room in this infinite hotel has a guest. And then an infinite number of new guests show up. Well, the really weird thing is you would actually have rooms for every single one of the new infinite people, even though your infinite hotel was already full before the infinite new people showed up. Now, that's super counterintuitive. It's really weird. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially to those of us who are, math illiterate like I am. However, that inability to intuitively understand it doesn't prove that there's a problem with it. It just shows that there's a problem with our intuitions in dealing with infinities.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't make the same argument, but I heard Loeb say something like to leave room or to believe in a God that you can't fathom is kind of illogical, because if you can't fathom it, you shouldn't really believe in it.
Well, yeah, like if you're saying like I can't define the God that I believe in, but I still believe in it, that would seem pretty ridiculous. And it sounds like maybe you're trying to say that that's what's happening with infinity because it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, so I would disagree, because even though it's counterintuitive, we can still describe it and give a very robust account of what's happening and why it works that way. The fact that we're not, neither Loeb's nor myself would say just because we would never tell you that if your definition of God is counterintuitive, that's an argument against your God. Like, I don't think Loeb's would ever say that, and I certainly wouldn't say that. And so I don't think that you can draw a comparison between saying, if you can't even define what your God is, then you don't know what you believe in and you shouldn't believe it. That's completely different from saying, even though infinite things are counterintuitive, we still can understand them mathematically and therefore have, reason to think that they are possible.
Okay.
Do you see the distinction that I'm drawing?
I mean, what if you just claim to define God in a simple way that is kind of conceivable in a similar way? Like, it's just sentience. It's just grand sentience.
Yeah, sure. Then, I mean, that would be something that could be discussed, right? Now, I don't know how sentience... also, just to clarify, I think the first time you and I spoke, I was using the wrong definition of the word sentient during that conversation. And I forgot to mention that the last time we spoke. So
yeah, sense of self. That was you said it was sentience required a sense of self.
Well,
That's what I remember you saying.
I don't remember if that's exactly what I said, but either way, I was using the wrong definition. But either way, like, I don't understand how, like, in order to say that, like, sentience is this, like, independent thing, you'd have to be some kind of idealist, and I don't think that there's any support for the idealist position.
Okay, yeah, I don't have much else. I just wanted to talk about negative infinity.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, I recommend looking into idealism, and maybe you'll find something there that is workable, and maybe we can discuss that at some point.
Yeah, one more question though. You said I heard you mentioning some guy that you talked to who's a theist, who actually you described him like he did have some somewhat compelling arguments, which is kind of fascinating. I've been watching you for a few weeks, and you don't seem very moved by any of the arguments presented to you on live. What can you link or tell me who that guy is?
I don't know if I've said anybody has compelling arguments, but I have mentioned Catholic Thinker, who is currently in the chat. I have mentioned him multiple times as someone who does actually, like, genuinely engage in, arguments and provides. Now, I don't think his argument for God works. I think that it has problems, but at least he's actually giving an argument, and he's actually engaging with the criticism of the argument. Yeah, he's commenting in there. So, I mean, he would be a person to watch. The other thing that is nice about Catholic Thinker is that he actually understands the topics that he's discussing much better than the vast majority of, people on here who are trying to do theistic debates. Like, I would never go to, a PMARS or a Darth Dawkins or a Vor or any of those people for, wow, there's a lot of others I could name. I would never go to any of those people for actual good arguments. Catholic Thinker is somebody that I would point theists to say this person is actually thinking about these things, and you may be able to glean something of value from him.
Okay, so he's just not as evasive and circular. He's not that he brought you any sort of convincing argument. He's just more well reasoned. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me on.
Yeah, have a good one, Crunt. Oh, fair enough. I tend to get frustrated with Crunt a couple times that we've spoken, or a few times we've spoken, because it's just like, yeah, I believe it, and I know that it's not justified, and I don't know what to do with that.
No, yeah, that's just a stop for conversation.
Right.
It's not really anything to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we'll see if we can have a conversation with Luke. So we do have somebody requesting. If you're in the guest box or thinking about joining, please make sure you're 18 plus and that you do actually have some kind of argument or evidence that we can discuss. Hi, MD. Are you at least 18?
Hey, I'm Matt. Yeah, I'm 30.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
In the Christian God.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
Well, I would say that the cosmological argument is a good argument for God.
Okay. Do you have a specific formulation you want to present?
Yeah, so the universe had a beginning. I think we all agree on that, right?
Nope.
No? Do you think it's eternal?
Can you just present
universe?
the argument, please?
Sure. So
it's just the kalam, right? The everything that begins exists as a cause. The universe begins, therefore the universe is a cause.
Well, yeah, it's basically the second law of thermodynamics, and it's also shared by Einstein. So if you're saying that you're better than Einstein, I don't know.
Thermodynamics has nothing to do with the argument, but I mean, there's two things. Well, actually, okay, so what we could do is we can grant the premises, and we can inquire the second argument, the second stage argument, because the conclusion of this argument is not that God exists, but that the universe is a cause. The other issue is, I think the first premise is just strictly speaking something we're not justified in believing. I would even say it's strictly speaking false. I would say it's false that everything that begins to exist as a cause. And then, yeah, I think that it's ill-motivated to think the universe has a beginning. I mean, that's like very divided in contemporary cosmogony. It's like an active debate in cosmogony whether the universe has a beginning. So,
well,
it's not really clear their strong motivations.
My position is actually going to be a little different from yours, Monkey Boy. I think that it's pretty clear that the prevailing position in cosmology right now is that we have no reason to think that the universe had a beginning. And maybe that's actually consistent with what you said, and I'm just being an asshole. But there was a big study, or not, a relatively small study done a little while ago that they got 68% of physicists and cosmologists who responded. There were only 8 of them, but of the 80 of them, 68% said that they thought that the universe was about a hot, dense state, which doesn't say anything about the beginning of time. But since there was a small number of respondents, there was a journal that actually supported the people who did that survey to do another one. And with a lot more respondents, they got over 1,600 professional physicists and cosmologists to respond to this question alone. And again, weirdly enough, we ended up with the exact same number, 68%, who say that the Big Bang says nothing about whether or not the universe had a beginning. And so if the Big Bang doesn't give us any reason to think that the universe had a beginning, and that's the scientific explanation about the current, instantiation of the universe and its expansion, and we have no other scientific theories that talk about pre-Big Bang, it seems like we can't appeal to science at all to discuss whether or not the universe has a beginning.
Okay, but let me address the couple points that you brought up. So, I think Monk, how are you called? Monk what? Sorry?
Monkey Boy?
Monkey Boy. Okay, Monkey Boy. You said that thermodynamics has nothing to do with the universe, being caused, right? So the second law of the.
Of course,
Tell me.
that's true. But that's not quite what I said. I mean, it's
Okay,
obvious
tell me.
that thermodynamics has nothing to do with causes, but what I was saying is that thermodynamics doesn't have anything to do with the universe having a beginning.
Okay, so what I was saying about the second law of thermodynamics is that arguably the most
hold on
established law.
Hold on, though.
Sorry.
There's two problems here. Number one, Monkey Boy is correct that the second law of thermodynamics cannot possibly tell us anything about whether or not the universe had a beginning or a cause or anything like that, because for a couple of reasons. Number one, energy can't be well defined on a cosmic scale. Therefore, we can't talk about conservation of energy on a cosmic scale. Therefore, we can't talk about the second law of thermodynamics on a cosmic scale. So it doesn't even apply to the universe. And then also, even if it did, there are viable live cosmological models that would involve a reset of entropy. So there would be no reason for us to think that there would be a problem between that there would be some tension between an infinite past or an infinite universe and the second law of thermodynamics. So those are reasons why we shouldn't even be discussing this. And then there's an even bigger reason why we shouldn't even be discussing this, is that Monkey Boy pointed out we would be willing to completely, even just for sake of argument, we could completely grant the Kalam and say, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Let's just pretend that isn't a ridiculous claim and that we agree to it. And then the universe began to exist. Let's pretend that we have some reason to believe that, even though we don't. And then if we just get to the conclusion the universe has a cause, how are we getting to God?
Because you're talking, so for example, if it has a cause, the cause has to be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and that's what we call, and has to have agency. So it has to be able to
Have agency.
it needs agency because it needs to be have the category of creation.
I need you to define.
So
I need you to define how you're using agency.
So the personal agency, it means that you can decide to do something. Like matter can, like a rock cannot decide to move. But what I'm saying is that if you have agency, you're able to define.
Okay, so would you say that a prerequisite of an agent is the ability to consider options and then make a choice?
Not specifically. If you have agency, means that you have the possibility to have free will.
Okay, and do you agree that having free will involves being presented with multiple options and choosing between them?
Yeah, but it doesn't apply to an eternal God, because eternal God is the
Okay, so then this God
maximally-
doesn't fit your definition of agency?
Your definition of God doesn't fit my definition of God.
No. Hold on. I asked you to define agency, and you said that it was being able to decide to do something. And I asked, and that it has to do with free will. So I asked, does free will involve being, having multiple options and choosing one of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So free will. Okay. So in order to be an agent, you have to have free will. In order to have free will, you have to be able to to choose between multiple options, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So far,
And do you agree that in a choice there are multiple mental states involved? For example, if you asked me like what kind of cereal I'm going to buy when I go grocery shopping, and that there's so many options in the cereal aisle, like I have to have the mental state of I intend to choose which cereal I'm going to buy, and then I have to have a subsequent mental state of I have chosen which cereal to buy, right?
Yeah. Are you a materialist? Do you believe in
I'm just
matter
asking you
and
to
motion?
answer the question, please.
Yeah, you would have to have multiple options in your mind as a human.
Right. No,
specifically.
that's not what I asked. Do you understand the question that I asked you?
Yeah, but the problem is that
Do you
you're
understand the
mixing,
question that I asked you?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay,
that.
so
For
what was the
example,
question that I asked you?
That you are asking if agency means that you need to have different mental states to decide between them.
I'm asking about free will specifically. Does free
Yeah.
will involve choosing between multiple options? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic. What's that, Monkey Boy?
I'm heading out. Peace out.
Oh, thanks, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, Monkey Man.
Always appreciate Monkey Boy coming by. Everybody, again, go to Monkey Boy's channel on YouTube and watch that debate from earlier. I recommend it. Anyway, okay, so what we're discussing is agency and free will. And so what I'm asking you is whether free will, you said yes, free will involves choosing between multiple options, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that must involve having at least two different mental states, right? One where you are considering your options and one where you have decided between them, correct?
At least, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So we agree that choosing between two different things involves multiple mental states. And you said that one of the qualities of God is being timeless, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a timeless God, a timeless mind can only ever have one unchanging mental state. So God doesn't have the option to have free will. He cannot consider options and then choose between them, because as we just agreed on, that would require him to have multiple mental states. That's not something that God can do. God can only ever have one unchanging mental state.
But that's assuming that, what's your theory of time in here? The B theory of time or the A theory of time?
I don't know that that's relevant. Time is going to be some kind of measurement.
Is time continuum? Yes or no?
Time is going to be a measurement of change, regardless whether you're a presentist or an eternalist or A theory, B theory, whatever. That's irrelevant. What I'm saying is that if God, no matter any conception of time that you're going to have, is going to lead you to the conclusion that time involves change and that you cannot have change without time. So if change can only happen in time, which is again going to be the case on all of those views, then and God is outside of time, then that means that God cannot change. If God cannot change, that means God's mental states cannot change. If God's mental states cannot change, that means he only ever has one unchanging mental state. If God only ever has one unchanging mental state, then God cannot perform free will. He cannot exercise free will. And as you said, free will is a prerequisite of being an agent, and an agency is a prerequisite of being God. So the God that you're describing literally cannot exist. You have defined this God out of existence.
No, this is a clever argument philosophically, particularly what you're posing. But you're basically committing a category error. You're defining free will based on human psychology.
No, I asked you to.
Divine ontology.
MD, you are the one who defined free will, not me.
Yeah, no, I'm just answering your questions based
on
you
cannot,
limited
MD,
options.
MD, do you understand the massive blunder that you had just made by saying that the problem with my argument is the definition of free will when I was using your definition of free will that you gave in this conversation? Do you understand how horrible that sounds for you?
Yeah, maybe let me ask you a simple question about exactly this.
Yeah, as long as you can answer my question first.
Okay.
Do you understand what a massive blunder you just made?
No, I understand you are trying to trap me into.
No, I'm not trying to trap you. I'm asking you to answer a direct question. Do you understand what the problem is when you give a definition of free will and then you say the problem with my argument is the definition of free will? Do you understand why that's an issue?
But I can answer to your
Okay,
argument.
so if you're not able to answer a direct question, then I think that says a lot. If your position is defensible, then you can defend it. If you can actually have the conversation, if you want to have the conversation, you need to be able to answer questions. I'm asking you a direct question, and I'm asking you to answer that question directly.
Yeah, I answered to your questions about free will.
Okay, so do you understand that if you are the one who gave the definition of free will that we're using for this conversation, and you think that the problem with my argument is the definition of free will, you understand that's not a problem with me, right?
No, I get it. I understand the argument. Yeah,
okay, so do you want to give a different definition of free will, or do you want to agree that you've defined a God that can't possibly exist?
Maybe I need to clarify my terms. Can I do that with you?
Okay.
All right. So, for me, this was a way of defining free will based on human psychology.
No, stop. This is just meta and whining at this point. I'm asking you, if you want to define the term differently, then just give me the definition, not the crying.
Okay, so humans require time-changing mental states.
What is the definition of free will?
But the thing is, you have different
Okay,
type of free
again,
will.
look, here's the thing, MD. The longer it takes for you to answer this question, the worse that it looks for you. You're already like making yourself look really bad here. I'm trying to help you out. What is the definition of free will?
Free will is the ability to choose. Okay.
Okay, and we already agreed God can't do that, right?
No, because he has divine free will, which is different than the human free will.
Okay, divine. Okay, no. So hold on. So what you're saying is God doesn't actually have free will. He has shmil, right? Something like free will, but he doesn't actually have free will, right?
He has divine free will.
Okay, so he has shmil, right? Not free will. That's what you're saying. You're saying God has something that's like analogous to free will, but he doesn't actually have free will, right?
No, what I'm saying is that
I need you to directly answer the question, MD. Does God have free will, or does he have something like free will that you want to call free will?
He has eternal free determination.
That wasn't an answer to my question. If you cannot directly answer direct questions, I'm just going to take it as a concession. So does God have free will, yes or no? Without equivocating, does God have free will, yes or no?
He doesn't. He has free determination.
I'm sorry. So you're saying, I just need you to be clear and just give me the one syllable answer. Does God have free will?
This is not a one syllable answer.
Again, this is going to be the last opportunity. I'm asking you a direct question, and if you're unable to answer a direct question, I will just take it as a concession. Does God have free will? This only requires a one syllable answer. If you give any, no, God does not have free will. Fantastic. And you said in order to be an agent, you must have free will. So God is not an agent, correct?
No, this is not.
Is God an agent? Yes or no?
My friend, can you give me 1 minute?
No. Is God an agent? Yes or no?
You're trying to go to your narrative, but it's
okay. You know what? You know what? I admit it. You're right. You know what? No, you're 100% correct. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you 2 minutes uninterrupted to explain your position, and then we can discuss from there. Okay? Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Fuck that. Not a chance. I mean, if you can't just answer the goddamn question, like, I don't know what to tell you at that point. It's a pretty simple question. So you're saying the creator of the universe must have agency, but God cannot have agency. Okay. Like, what do you want me to do at that point? Oh, no chance, thinker. If Russell is too scared to come up, I'm not going to embarrass him further. That's fine. He got embarrassed enough today. Okay. So, just give me a second here. I got to lubricate. All right. So we have a couple people requesting, if you're in the guest box, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your theistic position. Looks like we have Kevin and then Isaiah requesting up. And we'll try to get to both of them. Hi, Kevin. Are you at least 18?
Yes. 21.
Okay. And then, I'm so sorry. I got a bit distracted there. I apologize. What God do you believe in?
Christian God, Yahweh.
Fantastic. Thanks for just giving a direct answer. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
The fact that things cannot exist without a creator.
Okay, and why should we think that's true?
Because, like, as we know, nothing can come out of nothing. There has to be a beginning point. There has to be a cause.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with why there needs to be a creator. Why should we think there needs to be a creator?
Because it can't, just be random. There has to be,
okay. Again, this has nothing to do with whether or not there's a creator. Like, I can say that I believe in a universe that did not come out of nothing and isn't random but doesn't have a creator. So why should we think that there is a creator? Why should we think that things wouldn't exist without a creator?
Yeah, that is my argument. I believe that it cannot exist without a creator.
Okay, and why should we think that that's the case? If I need to believe that that things can't exist without a creator in order to believe in God, then the only way you can convince me that God exists is to convince me that things can't exist without a creator. What's the argument for that?
I mean, there's really like, cause God has not really like revealed himself. There's no other
Okay,
way
so
I
I'm
can show
asking you for an argument. Do you not have one?
I think
It's just a yes or no question. Do you have an argument that things can't exist without a creator?
yes.
Okay, fantastic. What is that argument?
The fact that the chair you have, the microphone you have, the clothes you have on, the headphones, all these things, you don't know who made them. You don't know what time that was
This
made.
has nothing to do with just pointing to examples of things that exist. If I said it's not possible for things to exist unless it's not possible for fabric to exist unless it's black, and I point out that I'm wearing a black shirt, and then I actually have another black shirt on underneath it, and then the shorts that I'm wearing are also black. I've just pointed to you really rapidly 3 different pieces of fabric that are all black. Does that mean that all fabric is black?
No, it means that an individual created a black fabric.
Right. So what we need to say, if the conclusion I'm trying to get to is all fabric must be black, just pointing to the fact that I'm wearing 3 different items of clothing with black fabric doesn't get us there, does it?
But it points to
does me pointing out that I'm wearing 3 pieces of fabric that are all black, does that have anything to do with whether or not it's possible for non-black fabric to exist?
That's more complex than the question I asked you. I asked you if the stuff you have on was created. Doesn't that the color doesn't matter?
Did you understand the question that I asked you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, what am I asking you?
You said that the fact that there's different colors of black, like
Nope.
that doesn't point.
Nope. I didn't say anything about colors of black.
You said black fabric, didn't you? 2 different type of black fabrics. Your shirt, the undershirt. You said that. Does that cannot point to a creator just because I have 2 different blacks?
No. What I'm saying, if I'm trying to say all X's are Y, and I show 3 X's that are Y, does that tell us that all X's are Y, or just that those specific X's are Y?
Those specific X's.
Exactly. So in order to give an argument that all X's are Y, we can't just point to specific X's. We have to actually have an argument that involves all X's. So do you have an argument that shows that all things must have a creator in order to exist?
Yeah, there's a design.
Okay, so I'm trying to be as charitable as I possibly can here. But I've asked you this question multiple times now. I've done my very best to give you an analogy to try to bring you to understand what I'm saying. And it seems like you're not willing, so I'm only going to ask you one more time. And if you cannot answer this question, I will just take it as a sign that you're not prepared to have this conversation. So here's what I'm going to ask. What is the argument that would lead us to conclude that things can only exist if they have a creator?
Design.
Okay. Well, that's not an argument. I appreciate you trying. I think that you honestly did your best, but I think you need to do some more reading or listening before we try this. Maybe you can come back and try another time. We were not getting anywhere. I just do not have the patience. I'm sorry. All right. So if you are in the guest box or thinking about joining, please make sure that you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in a God. Hello, Isaiah. Are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
What?
What God do you believe in?
Jesus, God, and Christianity.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
That you're alive.
And why is the fact that I'm alive justification to believe in a God?
Because I love you.
Okay. Maybe we can actually have a serious conversation. This is promising. Receiving dem balls. I like the sound of this already. Uh-oh, receiving. You got to connect. Don't leave me hanging. Don't tell me that you're going to make me think that I'm receiving balls and then I don't actually get any balls. What a tease. I was ready. I was ready for the balls. No balls, unfortunately. Okay. Who doesn't love both of these? There's a... Never mind, I'm not telling it. I'm not going to tell that story. What just happened? Whoa, what's going on? What is wrong with TikTok Studio? Everything is frozen. What is happening? What is happening at this live? Yeah, the video is frozen. Yeah, happy freeze frame indeed. Maybe bringing somebody up will kick it into gear? Nope, did nothing. I think I'm gonna have to restart the live. Are you able to come back, Bort?
I mean, I'll try.
Okay.
Can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, that's
Nothing's
fair.
guaranteed.
I can't thinker. I don't know how to do that. Hold on, maybe I can get this to work. This is really frustrating. Just when it seems like things are going well. Okay. I'm gonna try one thing here and see if I can get this to work. Camera. Did that work? No, it's not doing anything. Oh, it's gonna force me to. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to end the live. I'm so sorry. Thank you for trying, but yeah, we're gonna have to end this, and we might just have to. Oh, maybe there's one thing that I can do. Maybe just possibly. No, there isn't. Okay, never mind. I thought I maybe could try, but all right. Yep, we're gonna have to end the live there. But and we're pretty close to 10 o'clock, and I went live early, so I think that we're gonna just have to call it for the evening. Unfortunately, we did have some good conversations, and we had Monkey Boy hanging out, so that was fun. But unfortunately, yeah, we're just gonna have to call it there. But I thought that we had a good live on some good conversations. Yeah, go read more comments. Sincerely go to Monkey Boy's YouTube channel and watch that debate with Russell. It was intense. It was a good time. It was good viewing. But thanks everybody for hanging out. I appreciate it. I don't know why we're having technical issues. Yeah, 100% Obelisk. TikTok taking an L again. But I do appreciate you guys. Yeah, Catholic Thinker even went up and put Russell in his place for a bit. That was funny. But yeah, thanks everybody. As I always say when I end my lives, make sure that you remember tomorrow is not guaranteed. So it's very important that you take the opportunities that are available to you to tell your family and your friends that you care, how much they mean to you. Take every